Hello and welcome to Jersey Wedding Pro Podcast. My name is Tim, hybrid wedding photographer, videographer, and also owner of Whole Heart Studio, located right in Toms River. This is a content creation space, photography, portrait studio that I own, and I don't know that everybody is aware or knows that, but I opened this space up just a couple years ago, and it had been an idea that I had for a while. This is where all of these episodes get recorded, and you'll notice they all have a very different background and theme to them each episode. I try to change it up and keep it interesting. It is such a versatile studio, so if you are a professional and you are looking for a space that is versatile for getting everything that you would need for photo, video production, content creation, podcasting, all those different types of things were the perfect space for that. So check this out. They are the sponsor for this video, for this episode. And in this podcast series, really this was meant to showcase personality and get on camera a little bit more. I'm typically on the other side of the camera. That's where I feel much more comfortable and confident. But I do feel like couples really want to feel like they resonate with your story, or they vibe with you, or they they know you in some type of personal way other than just your work on a social media page. And so I started this whole podcast idea with the hopes that I could do a little bit more of that, because I'm sure it's helpful to just kind of know a little bit about the person that is going to be documenting your wedding day, let's say. But I also typically have other wedding vendors and professionals that come on that give their awesome insight and valuable, knowledge and information, or just they're able to just talk about some of the stories that they have, and in a way that hopefully anybody who is watching, this is a way for you to kind of enjoy or gain a little bit of insight into what it's like on the other side. And so typically I would have a guest with me. Today it's going to be just me, so we're going to slow it down and talk about a bunch of different things, and really focus on the experience of what it's like to work with me, what sets me apart, all those different things. And I want to say, if you are a wedding vendor in the New Jersey area, please reach out and send me a message. We'll get you on the waiting list and have an awesome conversation. And the way I like to do it is really laid back. Like we just like to chat. It's a pretty comfortable space, and I think that's probably a good place for me to start. This is a lot of the feedback that I get from my clients and other vendors, is, they always like to point out how calm, laid back I am. And I do feel like I've touched on this in a couple of podcasts before, but I feel like that to me is such an important thing. And that's why I love the idea of starting here, because on the day of something like a wedding, there's so many moving parts and there's so much that's going on. And a lot of times I feel like these are the types of couples that really appreciate working with somebody like me on the day of. You spend your entire day with a wedding photographer. So you want to make sure that they're somebody that is going to make you feel very comfortable on the day of. And I feel like this is something that I've learned over the years, like really how to read the room and gauge and make sure that I'm constantly being aware of how the couple might be feeling, and and I want so badly for my couples to enjoy the day. It goes by so quick, and so if I can do a good job of making sure we get everything that we need, but also you can look back on the day and really uh, remembered how it should be, which is, you know, you got the chance to spend the whole day with your friends and family and everybody that loves you and adores you, to celebrate the two of you on that day. That this is what this is all about. Um, and I feel like if you lose sight of that or lose focus, and think for a second, well, as a professional, maybe my job is to get the best pictures. And well, I mean, I've heard so many stories about how, couples like didn't get a chance to eat, or didn't get a chance to talk to some of the people that they might have wanted to talk to. And if you're getting pulled in all these different directions all day long, and you look back and you go, oh, like the day just got away from us. And you know you take a lot of time and preparation to plan out this whole day, and like I said, no matter what you do, it goes by so quickly. So um, really, what a lot of what contributes to me being able to have a very calm and confident demeanor on the day of, and this is really where it comes from, is a level of confidence that only comes from doing this for a long time, over and over again. At this point, I've lost count of the amount of weddings exactly that I've photographed, but I want to say it's absolutely north of 600 weddings over the 13 years that I have been professionally doing this. And doing that many weddings will give you the confidence that you need to feel like any situation that you're going to run into, it's handled. And I want my couples to feel like, oh, if there was something that was going on, like they didn't even really necessarily know about it, unless they needed to be notified about whatever was going on, because that's what their um, diligence and all the planning that goes into the day of. That's what that's for, is to make sure that they can just enjoy themselves on that day. And the other part of, I think my couples giving a lot of that feedback, uh, saying, Tim made us feel really, really comfortable, really, really, calm, is I try not to be so intrusive. Uh, and a lot of times, most of the work that I'm doing is from a documentative, candid perspective. That word candid, I feel like when I say it, my couples are like, yeah, that's what I was looking for. That's what we're, our goal is when we think of, our wedding photos. That is the style that I feel like a lot of people resonate with. And the way I usually phrase it is, you get to absolutely enjoy the day the way that you're supposed to, but I'm getting all of these moments that are authentic. And so you get to enjoy the day, and you get these very, these moments that are so real. And I don't know how else to say that, but that is really how I would describe a lot of my work. Is I want it to feel real. I want it to feel like this was like not even what we necessarily imagined, but even better somehow. And yeah, this is like how the day went, but it was told in this story, in this way that is so unique, and in a way that, really nobody else would be able to do it. One of the things that allows me to do that in a way that nobody else can is the fact that I am a hybrid wedding photographer, videographer. What the heck is that? And so you have wedding professionals that are photographers. You have wedding professionals that are videographers, and they specialize specifically in one or the other. And some professionals can even uh, go back and forth, and sometimes they'll do a wedding as a videographer, but they can also do a wedding as a photographer. For the past however many years, I want to say since 2018, I have shot the majority of my weddings as a hybrid shooter. So what this means, and for anybody that's interested in like, how do you do that? How does one even go about doing that? Well, I started off really simple, and I figured this was something that I knew that I could do. I just needed to prove the concept. And so when I got started, it was fairly simple, and I've really built a system that works for me, and it works, I would say, flawlessly for the style that I document. And there are behind the scenes and even like, POV footage of me shooting a wedding, and I do think it's really cool to be able to see what that's like, let's say documenting a ceremony, and you have these moments that are happening, and I'm switching back and forth, and you get to actually see as things are happening and unfolding the way that my brain works, which I feel like is a really cool thing to be able to see. But yeah, so I am unique in that the way that I tell the story, I prefer to tell it in both photo and video, because I feel like they complement each other so well. Video is one of those things that I always considered like couples that are on the fence, and they're like, do we go with a video or do we skip out on it? This is where I really made the leap to be like, you know what, I'm just going to offer something so that couples walk away with some memory other than just the photos of the day of, and those on their own are such an awesome way to look back on the day, but video does it in a way that photo can't on its own. And the videos that I put together are done in a way that, the way I look at it is like, this is how I would want my wedding video to be if I was looking for a wedding photographer or a videographer or anything of that nature in my wedding search journey. I would just want a highlight video that recaps the whole day and condenses it into like 4 or 5 minutes, and that's exactly what I do. I do also offer some, extended or uncut footage is what I refer to it as. So for those couples that are looking for a little bit more of, and it's usually the main things are your ceremony, your first dances, and your toasts. Those are some of those moments that I make sure that I record in its entirety. So if you ever wanted to include those at any point, you can. But for most couples, I feel like just having both of those things is the perfect way to tell the whole story. So I highly encourage, go check out some of the videos. You'll find them up on YouTube. You'll find them on the Instagram, Wedding Photo NJ. And let me know what you guys think, because the way that I shoot things, I definitely feel like is something that is unique to each couple, in that I even look at, what song did they choose as their first dance song, and I'll try to use that as inspiration for the background music for the video. I really pick out, all the absolute best moments, and I love that it's all in one place. So when you open your gallery, you have that banner right up top that rolls right through your video. And then as you scroll through, you get to see all the other pictures. And that's really what ultimately ends up getting delivered. And it's, again, it's like perfect. to me, this is what I would want if I was planning my own wedding, and I hope that my couples appreciate it. Let's see what my couples do appreciate. I want to take a look, and if you're doing any wedding searching right now for vendors, any type of vendor, I highly encourage just checking out the reviews. I don't know. I don't know. I assume like everybody does. But I feel like it's always helpful to kind of know like, oh, what was their perspective of why did they choose this vendor, or after the fact, like what do they appreciate most about having booked, this professional. So I'm just gonna read from the first one. So Danny and Peyton, this was an awesome recent couple of mine. Shout out to them. This whole series is sponsored by all my awesome couples. So, Danny says Tim was the absolute best. We used him for our engagement photos and our wedding, and everything came out better than we could have ever imagined. We told Tim that we were not big fans of superposed photos or anything too serious. And it goes on to say, and this is really one of those things that I feel like I try to make sure there's a balance of, look, we're gonna get some awesome portrait that you can hang on your wall, and it's gonna be the most epic picture from from the day of, and we'll get a ton of those. But I want to do it in a way that still feels authentic. It still feels like organic, and it focuses on the two of you. It focuses on you guys as a couple, and the emotion between the two of you. And so the way that I have you interact with each other, it's almost like we can forget about the camera for a minute. And Denny had mentioned the engagement session. My engagement sessions, I love to have them feel the exact same way. Like I want it to feel like we're just hanging out. And by the end of it, we have all these awesome pictures. So we'll talk about engagement sessions for a minute. And with that, it's usually allocated 2 hours. And I'll used to say we don't have to take the full 2 hours, but I do it that way because I want you to feel like we have plenty of time and we're not rushing. This is the same thought process that I use when we're building out like the timeline for the wedding day. I really want it to have like a good flow, and I don't want us to feel stressed out in the very least. So, typically an hour to an hour and a half is all you need. But if you were like, Tim, we want to bring our dog and have some pictures with them, we want to do an outfit change, or we want to go to this location, but also there's this other spot that's like right nearby. Can we do both? That gives us plenty of time to feel like we can do all of those things and not rush. And we're going to have so much fun with it. All of my engagement sessions are such an awesome experience. For I feel like, at least, and I hope my couples feel that way. But yeah, like it really is a great opportunity to, like, even before the wedding day, the consultation is great as like an introduction. But this is a really good way to just hang out as like friends. So Erica says, beyond happy. We chose Tim as our wedding photographer. It felt like we were just hanging out and taking pictures with a friend. He was so calm throughout the whole process, worked with us, and took awesome pictures. Don't think twice. Pick Tim as your wedding photographer. You're the best, Tim. Erica, thank you. Thank you guys so much. I I feel like that is a little bit more of like kind of what I was just saying with, I just like it for it to feel like we're just hanging out. I'm gonna read one more, and this one is from Shannon. So Shannon says, I cannot describe how amazing our wedding day experience was with Tim as our photographer. Uh, Ever since our initial intro call, Tim, I knew we would be in the best hands. Uh, he is professional, does amazing work, and is also extremely compassionate and friendly. This is all very true. And so Shannon and Brandon were one of my couples from just this last year. I can't even believe like it's coming up on like a year already. But they did both photography and videography. I remember that day like so well, and it's one of those things like as I'm putting things together, like it brings me back to that day. I end up like cheesing. I don't even realize I do it. I end up cheesing so hard when I'm like editing photos. I'm like, oh, these are so good. They had so many awesome moments. There's such an awesome couple, and I mean I could read all these, but really I wanted to encourage anybody that is just interested in finding out, you know, what sets me apart, what is the vibes that you would get from working with me. I feel like this is important to look at. So thank you everybody for the glowing reviews. I am so weird about like compliments sometimes, because I feel like I do this just because I want to do a good job. I really do care. At the end of the day, I want everything to just be the absolute best, and for my couples to be super happy with everything. So the positive feedback is like just the reason why I do all of this, and why I try so hard. And so now let's say you're in this process of you just got engaged. You're checking out some, you know, wedding venues in the New Jersey area. And now you're at the point where you're like, okay, well, you know what? We need a photographer. This is usually the very next step to the booking process. So I'll just kind of walk you through, like, this is what it would be like if you were to just reach out and start the process. So the way that it works is the inquiry is right on the website, as it is for everybody. You'll just fill that out, and really it's just so I can make sure I have your date available, that it's a location that, you know, that makes sense. And from there, once I can kind of confirm that, you know, I have your date open and available, the next step is to set up a consultation, kind of what we mentioned a couple times already. And really, in that consultation, it's just an opportunity for us to kind of like talk things out. And although I have packages pricing, these are things that can be customized. So I really want to make sure that whatever we draw up makes a lot of sense for whoever I'm meeting with. And so the way I usually start these meetings out, a little bit about the couple. How did you guys meet? And that could be a proposal story. That could be how you met. That could be, I mean, whatever it is that you want to share. First date. I like to hear a little bit about some backstory about all my couples. And it helps when I am, you know, like looking back on like, oh, this is very significant in their overall, like their whole story. So this is worth, you know, just keeping in mind, and all that fun stuff. So there's reasons why I ask some of the questions that I do. One of the questions that I ask every one of my couples, I want to know, what is the most important thing to you? And typically what I find is couples are looking for some reassurance when it comes to they want to have that peace of mind. And I do feel like this is one of those things that, I I know that I'm gonna bring my best every time. I know that, when a couple books me, I'm putting everything and giving my best work. Um, but peace of mind also really comes from more or less of like the confidence in the couple, uh, uh, in the couple's feeling of the ability, your ability to deliver on that day. Uh, and so that's really why I try to um, have this approach of confidence and reassurance that I know what I'm doing and everything's turning out awesome. I love showing my couples like pictures like throughout the day, and that's such an awesome feeling, like just getting like that shot and being like, look at this, like this is you guys, your art. So and a lot of what else do I get? So peace of mind is a big thing. Um, People that just want to enjoy the day, um, and they want everything to go smooth. Uh, and usually it's almost like something along those lines. I feel like it's rarely, the couples that reach out to me, they're like, oh, we just need somebody that is, just gonna do a good job. Um, because you could hire anybody that is just gonna like do a good job and give you a good price and things like that. Um, if you're reaching out to me, it's probably, you know, because you're looking for a certain experience, and that could be the style of work that I deliver, which is, even the way that I edit. I feel like that's some of the feedback that I get. Couples are like, we look through so many different photographers, and your work stood out. I feel like for couples that maybe don't really know how to describe like the style of work that I do. Um, it's definitely film inspired, but um, the edits that I do are they're it's a little softer. It has like some warmer undertones, and it's really I want the gallery as a whole to really feel like a little bit of nostalgia, like even as they're like, you're seeing them for the first time, but it feels like these are moments and memories that you've had forever. And they are just classic in that sense, but also in a way that is that it doesn't feel like everything else that you've seen out there. And so this is, I think, one of the big reasons where I tend to stand out. From there, I really like to kind of go back and forth for a little bit and just chat and talk about like really what's important, what their thoughts and ideas are for the day of, and maybe there's some like insight that I can give them, some helpful tip or whatever it might be. And then from there we can kind of go through the rest of the process. And so I usually start by saying, look, we keep in touch throughout the whole journey. So every, so often I'll just make sure everything's going smooth. But at any point, if you needed to put together a tentative timeline, just something to kind of like see what the day would look like, that's what I'm there for, really, to make sure that you have everything that you need for the entire process, not just on that day. So that to me is very important. But beyond that, um, I want to make sure that we're including the things that are important to you, and but also too that you're not paying for anything that you feel like is not really necessarily something that you uh, are ready to move forward on, or you're not sure about, you got to imagine a lot of couples are booking me a year and a half out. Sometimes it's even like 2 years out. And so I don't expect you to have all the answers. I'm here to try to guide you as much as I can, but sometimes we're really early in that process where I want to make sure that, look, if you need a little bit more time, we could always kind of focus on what we know we need for sure right now, and then, revisit some things. So if you want to make some adjustments, a little bit after you have officially booked, that's okay. We can do that. I'm really easy to work with in that way. And so once we've kind of like narrowed down, like, all right, this is going to be the best fit for what we need. It has everything that we're looking for in it. I also like to send over a full gallery for you to check out and look through. And really, this is so that you can see what you'd be getting back. I want you to really have a good idea of like how the gallery works and all the things that you're able to do. So from your gallery, you can download all your photos, which is awesome. You can order prints online and even share the gallery with friends and family. That's going to be like your everything all in one spot. And anybody that you share the gallery with can do all the same things. And the question that I get all the time is, how long is the gallery up for? So that stays up for forever, or as long as I possibly can. And I want to make sure that that is not something that, peace of mind that you ever have to worry about. And if for whatever reason on your end something happens, I have every wedding that I have ever shot backed up on, in multiple different ways. That is one of those things that I just saw something earlier today. And it was somebody like just telling a story about how a photographer, this horror story about how a photographer lost files to weddings. And to me, that is not something that I have ever had to deal with. And it's really because I take all of the precautions necessary to avoid anything like that happening. And so these are things that are really important to me that I want to like make sure my couples are aware of in the booking process, so that they have the confidence that they need to feel good about their decision, whatever, whether it's myself or someone else, they feel like we made the right decision. And so being able to show you, hey, this is like what a whole gallery looks like. These are some of the, the black and white pictures that you can kind of expect, and those candid moments, and, you're seeing really like throughout the entire day. And I let them know too, like your highlights, you get back pretty much right away. I try to get them to you in, usually it's like 4 or 5 days. But usually like under a week, you'll have somewhere around like 150, 200 photos sometimes. But I want to give you like almost everything, enough to tell the whole story again. But I don't want you to, as you're waiting for the rest of the gallery to arrive, feel like, oh, we're missing this photo. Oh, where's this one? And so that's why I try to give you most everything, including like even like your family portraits and things like that. These are things that you might want to use for whatever reason, one reason or another. Maybe there's like, you want to put together a thank you card to send out. And so I want to give you a ton of different options that you can, pick and choose what your favorite is. And so from there, now that you have the gallery that you've looked over, you have the perfect customized package for you. The next step is just going to be the proposal that you'll review online. You can sign that. And from there, it's just a flat rate deposit. It's just going to lock you in. So once that's all set, you're official. And we can just kind of keep in touch. We'll set up the engagement session from there. And right now I have it set up so that, and I'm going to have this through 2025 for anybody that is looking to just book the engagement session, and use that as like a testing of the experience. Uh, I want to make sure that, hey, listen, if you really enjoy the engagement session, we can actually use that deposit as your essentially your initial deposit, or the payment for the engagement session. So at that point, all we have to do is like revisit some of the packages, pick out what works for you, and you're good to go. So that's something that I am offering as a like a no pressure, like let's just hang out. Let's see if this is a good fit and we work really well together. And if that's the case, then guess what? We can just pick out the package that works for you. And, that's one thing that you get to check off of your wedding to-do list. And and there's a ton of stuff on the wedding to-do list. So that feeling of like, that's a big thing to check off. So yeah, that's one of those things that I don't want any of my couples to feel like too much pressure in that like, oh, we're this far out and we're not quite sure yet. Well, let's just do an engagement session, and then you really kind of have that experience of this is what it would be like to work with this photographer the day of, and get to hang out with him, for the whole day. So that's really the gist of what it's like. I feel like to have the opportunity to work with me, but really the honor, the opportunity is it's my absolute pleasure. I really feel like I'm so lucky to work with the couples that I get to work with. Every once in a while, I get this a lot more than I would say. One of the most common questions that I get are from people that are like, oh, do you get any bridezillas? And I usually am like, I don't. If I'm being honest, I don't. I I am so lucky that the couples that I work with, I feel like understand, that this is somebody that we can trust. Like we know he's going to do a good job. And some of the best work that I have done in my entire career are, when I work with a couple that they're like, you know what you're doing, do your thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to crush it for you guys. Like, this is going to be absolutely epic. And it's such an invaluable thing because, at the end of the day, everything else tends to kind of fade away. Like the whole night of, where you have the venue is important to a degree. And the details and all the other things are important again to a degree, but one of the most valuable things that you can have really on the day of, is a good professional to document the day, in a way that you want to look back on the day. And so, to me, this is such an important thing, to take the time and find somebody who really is like the right fit for you, and for what you're looking for. So I'm gonna end it there because I could go on and on, but I appreciate anybody that has made it to this point. If you want, please feel free to follow, share with somebody who maybe could get something out of this whole podcast. And again, if you are a wedding vendor yourself, you want to hop on and have a conversation. I I much prefer to talk to somebody else than to just talk to the camera. But I do it for you guys. So I appreciate you watching. Thank you guys so much. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one.